My name's Darren, I'm 24, been married for 4 years to Laura. Got 2 kids, Liam and Sophie, one's 7, one's 5. Me and Laura met on a park field, I was smoking some dope and she was drinking, and we just kind of got together, and she liked me, I like beer, and kind of went that kind of way, so it's cool.
When I met Darren, he was really a bit of a bad lad. He was a teenager, we were both teenagers, and he was out sort of with the drugs, gangs, stealing cars, doing all sorts of bad things. I came from quite a nice home, a good upbringing, so my parents were quite shocked, I think, that we became an item.
Everything was perfect. I couldn't have a better life, I guess, until I found this one, obviously. So everything was running smoothly, running my own business, plenty of cash coming in. Wife was being nice to me, which makes a change. She moved out a couple of times though, because me being a bit, used to drink quite a lot. So.
As our relationship progressed, I started noticing things about him that were sort of pretty bad, that he brought from his childhood. He got a lot of bitterness, very angry person. He liked to drink a lot. He didn't particularly, although I felt that he loved us as a family, he didn't particularly care too much about what we thought of how he lived and how he behaved. So at the same time as me striving to create a good family environment, he would always go the other way and do his own thing regardless.
When I started drinking a lot more, she moved out 3 times, she threatened to move out permanently and take the kids away and stuff like that. It was pretty bad, really.
We met when we were about 15, so he's a year older than me, but I sort of ran away from home and did the whole rebellious teenage girl thing. His family were quite they didn't care about things like that, so they didn't mind, so we sort of moved in together, did all the wrong things, and we ended up having Liam when I was only 16, which obviously, as you can see in the world, it happens. We ended up getting a council flat through that. Then we had Sophie when I was 18. We moved to Spencer and I started coming to Elim Christian Centre through sort of my mum bringing me along and sort of encouraging me to come here. I made a lot of friends. I ended up getting saved sort of a few months later, which was amazing.
It weren't really until Laura became a Christian that she decided she actually wanted to get married, so she moved out until I got her a ring. Laura's been preaching to me for about 4 years, and she's just, all the time telling me about Jesus and stuff. Didn't want to know, a bit rough anyway, and I just didn't really want to know anything about Jesus. That's the last thing I need condemning, so she kept on trying, but one day God just gave her a verse in her dreams and just said, stop telling them about me and just go and pray, get everybody to pray. So that's praying for me for about 2.5 years. And
Darren wasn't particularly interested. He didn't try and stop me coming to church. He didn't try and break that relationship with friends I was making here, but he also didn't show any interest in God himself. And the small times, the times that I did get him in here, sort of the nativity, people's baptism, things like that, he'd literally walk out as soon as our children had finished performing on stage. So I felt like I was quite isolated in our home situation, but obviously the kids began coming along as well, so it did end up as 3 against 1, which was pretty good.
It was twice in a week I was sitting there and my little girl just prayed for the weather to change, and funny enough it changed, so I started thinking, hey, twice in a week, how many times is it stop being a coincidence and start being a miracle? So I prayed and I said, look, if you are there, prove it to me. Changing the weather's nothing, I want to see something bigger and better than that, and fair enough, he did.
Yeah, about 3 months before he actually became a Christian, God just put a real burden on my heart to actually pray for him more. Obviously, I always prayed for him anyway, but suddenly I just felt like something's going to happen. I just knew that something was going to happen. So I spoke to all my friends in my cell group and other close friends around me and said, please pray for Darren. I feel like God's going to do something for him. And then some things just started to change. He started to show more interest. He was coming along to small events, sort of like men's breakfast, things like that. And he started making a few friends. And then loads of really amazing things started happening for him, which he wasn't really sharing with me, because I think he's very proud and he didn't want me to know that the thoughts he was having. So this was all going on in his head, and I could see things changing outwardly, sort of personality-wise, and the things he was saying and doing. I did know that he'd started to read a huge Bible that my mum brought round. This either, but he was always on Google anyway, sort of searching things. But yeah, he'd read Leviticus and all sort of the beginning of the Old Testament, and thought that was the way it still was. He had no clue about the actual story of Jesus apart from what you sort of learn at school. So that was totally irrelevant to him at the time, and he's thinking sort of that he's Jewish now. He's taken on, right, I'm going to be Jewish, and decided to have a look how much it's going to cost him to pay for the sins he had committed for his whole life. And he had a look at goats and chickens and cows and whatnot, and found out that he probably would never be able to afford it.
I guess nowadays they call it revelation. You know, I've learnt that whilst I've been in the church and stuff. But revelation that, you know, Jesus' blood was shed for all of us, and it wasn't just, you know, I don't need to go and kill loads of goats and shed all that blood just for my own sin. Jesus has already done it. So. 11th of October, watching football on the TV, George was preaching at the end. I didn't know exactly what he was going to be preaching about or anything. I didn't really want to know. All I knew was that I didn't want to go up there and make a fool of myself in front of loads of people. So I'm sitting there and he's preaching away, and I just thought at the end he's going to do an altar call, and I thought I ain't going to go up, you know, and it's like a spiritual battle inside myself. I was fighting against my flesh, and I just said no, I'm not going up. And then two guys either side of me got up to get prayed for. One was praying for courage, the other one was strength, and just as those two guys got up, I thought, right, okay, I'm going to do it, that's it, you know. I got up, and then one of the guys next to me fell over. And I thought, right, that's not me. So I sat back down again, and my bum got about an inch away from the seat, and I felt a tap on the shoulder, more like a push. And it was Jason behind me saying, you know, go on, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it now. So I did. Stood there, and I just said, look, God, I'm happy to have you come into my life, but I don't want to look a fool like that bloke on the floor there, you know. And I stood there and opened my eyes, and I looked around, and I just closed my eyes again and prayed, you know. I want the whole of you, I want the whole Holy Spirit to come within me and change my life totally. I want to be just for you. And opened my eyes, and I was laying on the floor crying like a little girl, laughing my head off, you know. And I was like, oh no, what have I done? But it's weird. I never expected it. Everything's just changed ever since, you know.
The night Darren got saved, I was actually at my mum's. Him and my brother had actually come to a men's night. I was more excited about Excel, which he was going to in about a month. I was thinking, oh, you know, it's all going to happen at Excel. But he came home and he just had this sort of funny look on his face. Looked like he was going to cry. And I just thought, oh my goodness, it's happened. And I looked at Michael, my brother, and he was sort of had this, ooh, you know. And Darren just sat down next to me and he didn't say a word. And Michael said something happened tonight, and he said Darren gave his life to the Lord. And my mum just sort of broke down in tears. Everybody else in the room was sort of absolutely wow. And to be totally honest, I just sat there and thought, how do I take this? Because I can't imagine this ever happening. So I don't know how to react really. And I just sat there and I kind of looked at him for a bit, and I thought, that is really good, but this is going to take a bit of adjustment to get used to. So.
Well, I went from drinking about 24 cans of beer a day down to none. That's a good start. That was straight away. That was started treating the wife better. Started looking after the kids like I should.
His whole attitude was changing towards family life. He actually was interested in what myself and the children were doing. He started caring about people. He pretty much stopped drinking from that second. I don't know if he's explained, but he used to drink a lot, you know, not just a few cans a day, it was a lot. And he was always out doing this, that and the other. So that was a shock actually as well, just having him at home.
It says in the Bible that, you know, if you're going to lead, you need to show that you can lead your family first. And just with the way I'm acting, my little lad's going out evangelising in school, you know, asking me for Bibles to take into his mates is great. And Sophie's a little prayer monster, she is. She just prays for everybody, it's great. For the first 2 weeks, she cried and said it was like having a different person in the house, and she weren't too keen on it. And you know, she's really like, she thought there's a stranger moved in kind of thing, but she's getting used to it now.
Okay.
She's getting used to the sorries and the thank yous, and you know, it took me a little while, I think it was about a month before I sat down and just said, look, all that stuff I put you through before, I'm so sorry about it, but you know, it's a lot of tears and a lot of joy in any walk, and you know, that was one of the times for tears and joy at the same time. So.
I'd just say to anybody out there who's in the situation that I was in, I know there's probably women who had worse situations and some who probably aren't suffering quite as much as I was, but just keep your chin up and keep praying mainly, and live a life that honours God, and still try and submit to your husband as long as that doesn't mean disobeying the Lord. But just pray all the time. Make sure you've got a lot of family around you, a lot of Christian family, and just wait on the Lord, because He answered my prayers, and Darren was the person I was ever thought would be saved, and He did that, and He did it sort of in our family, and so many people are shocked and amazed. So if He'll do it for my family, I'm sure He'll do it for yours.